Hey guys, what's up? Real quick, people talk about Cuphead. Here's some proof that I in fact have gotten A pluses on these bosses. I People complain about the difficulty in this game. I think it's kind of silly. In part, look at the design. You have a boss that you fight, and you do nothing else. And it's really easy to go back and fight the boss all over again if you need to. One of the things I think some people are initially doing is that they aren't doing what I do, which is that if I keep screwing up, I try going out, I change my setup, and I try that. So for this boss, I actually do end up getting him like the second time I play through him. I even managed to completely get an A+. This boss is a 3-phase fight, and it's pretty straightforward. It's just the entire game is about learning patterns. So the case of this one, he likes to do the ball fire, he'll stay on one side, and then he'll eventually go about doing the cans, or he'll do his other move. I forget the exact, I don't know why I call it the top of my head. But, let's see, some tips for other people having difficulties in this game. I'd suggest, for instance, what I try doing. I don't necessarily do it that much today, but in between every single phase, there's usually a big point of vulnerability. Or there are cases of what happens is that there'll be openings, like case in point with these guys. Yeah, and I screwed up and I ended up dying there. So it just goes to show, yeah, you still gotta pay attention, you still gotta play well, even though if you do know where things are at. But I managed to do it on the second try. A lot of the design of this game is about failure. It's about getting into the right groove and learning the fights. And so, like, one of the things I've learned to do is, use your supers. The game, especially the scoring system, encourages you to do so. It's not if you think about it for difficulty purposes, if they really want it to be evil, they would prevent you from using them. This game is about, especially with the bosses, dealing with the bosses and dealing with them well. The second phase actually kicked my ass for a really long time, and then I realized, oh, okay, he'll always hit top, he'll always hit bottom, always hit top, always hit bottom. Yeah, another case in point at the opening. Going back into it, this is the weapons. Oh, another thing that they do with it is that every boss, I haven't quite dealt with the end one, but every boss, as far as I know, you just gotta do 3 parries. And so there is some RNG bullshit with some of them. Just because sometimes, was it the Medusa boss, for instance, she'll just go all nuts. But for the most part, it's fine. See, manage that just fine. I'm not the best skilled at any other game. I've seen people do skill shots in like first-person shooters. I don't necessarily believe I could do, but learn the fight with it. This next boss I'm going to be going to, pretty straightforward. This was one that I had a ton of trouble with. I think I had to spend an hour or two just because there was a whole bunch of little things. And there's a particular attack that I had a lot of difficulty with, which is the triangles that are coming up. In the case of this, especially, our difficulty with this boss is just the moving platforms. The design for Cuphead is basically keeping, besides just the boss rushing, it's keeping track of a whole bunch of different things. And that's one of the things that makes this particular level difficult, because there's the platforms, and the platforms don't necessarily fall through the same thing. They have points where they're no longer there. So you can't just entirely go. So you gotta pay attention to that. You gotta pay attention to all the different enemies. They're gonna be around, in this case, there's about 3 different enemy-related things to deal with. One of them being the... I tried to hit the pink thing, couldn't. Or in case, you know, just anything that's that particular color of pink you can jump off of. And especially with this boss, you can get a lot of super move from that. Yeah, lo and behold, that one is frustrating for me because it likes to spawn on me, but it's a phase you can deal with. So, like, case in point with that, I know that I want the platforms to be available. One of the things that is kind of frustrating with that is that those bullet bills, basically, they'll be in the same position on the screen, but the screen's moving down, so you can be in a, quote, safe position and still screw up. So, you know, I do really well at the initial start, and then I completely screw up at that, and you don't want to be underneath. So, at that point, I was like, that's not quite working. I need to change something around. So, and this is what I'd suggest people do. You know, think about if you're getting through the fight, pay attention, think about what you're dealing with, and then change things accordingly. For this particular case, of the super shot, because especially with a lot of bosses, one of the things you can do is you do the charge shot, you hold the charge shot for when you know they're going to appear, spawn, whatever, and then you unleash on it, and then you can automatically switch up your next weapon, and it's actually more effective damage. So, even within the confines of a really simple game, there is a lot of little mechanical depths, there's a lot of everything. You want to maximize the potential damage of what you're doing. So in that case, I did the charge shot, I switch off. Notice how fast I killed him, he didn't even go like halfway back. I'm also, you know, working on the charging in the build, dealing with the bullet bill charges. And yeah, I'm still getting hit, but I'm getting hit less. Yeah. What you may not necessarily see is that I actually managed to hit that thing from off screen. That I screwed up. The parrying is something I've had some difficulty with. Not necessarily for the most part. Just occasional methods. Usually, like if it has to be used right away. But let's see, other things to go with it. And this game does have bullet hell aspects to it, but it's not sadistic like a lot of those are. Yeah. Very few of the boss attacks are super bullet hell. Well, there's a whole bunch of different types of projectiles going on. There's a couple, but in comparison with most boss. I got into a bad position with that one, got my ass kicked. So, yeah, same pattern. I work on trying to have a strategy, and I use that all in part because I just don't want to deal with it. So, but I really probably shouldn't have in that area just because whole thing. This is your transition stage. This is a point where you have a bunch of free attacks. I didn't think that they were I could run into them at the time, which was a mistake, which cost me. And, you know, just, let's see, my basic advice with a lot of things is just keep trying different things. The basic design, you don't have like, to go through a stage, you don't have to go through the entire game all over again to get to these bosses. You don't have life restrictions. This game is a lot more forgiving than a lot of older school games were. I don't necessarily understand, at least in relation to certain aspects of modern game design, why people have issues with difficulty, because games are a lot nicer. Yeah, as you can see with this particular one, you know, I ran into her last time. I just got up close and personal. And yeah, with this, I did end up getting hit by those. By the chainsaw, but as you see, managed to almost do perfect. You know, if the HP and the parry had been better, that would have been had an A+. But even the confines that, hey, the boss is beaten. All you have to do to get to the end of the game is beat the bosses on regular. So I'm not saying get good, but just learn.